John, 2 to go, both at home, starting with Carlisle tomorrow. Obviously a big game for our visitors, isn't it, at the bottom end of the table?
Yeah, it's an incredible game for them. I certainly prefer being in our position than in theirs, and they've obviously got to have 2 victories and just hope that results go their way with everybody else. It's an awful position for them to be in, but as we well know, over the course of a season you get 46 chances to try and do the best that you can, and they find themselves in a very precarious situation. So and obviously we have to be professional about it. We want to try and finish as high as we possibly can. We've got 6 more points at stake, and obviously we want to try and get all 6 points.
Yeah, we could finish as high as 9th. I mean, obviously their manager won't need to do too much motivating his side tomorrow.
No.
But like you say, not too much for us to play for, but pride, and we certainly don't want to end the season with 2 defeats, do we?
No, and but I made the point at the weekend. It's games like this that we've not been particularly good at this season. Richie had a similar problem to myself before me, and I've had it since. Making sure that the players are totally motivated for some of the lesser teams in this division. Some of the teams that have been below us in the table, we've come unstuck against, both home and away. So I need to make sure I do my job properly tomorrow night, and make sure we're on the front foot, and make sure we pick up three points in this first game, and obviously take us into a good mood for the visit to Bristol City at the weekend.
Can you put your finger on why that is? Why we've struggled this season against the lower teams?
Well, as I said, probably myself. I made the point at the weekend. We played Leyton Orient here on Good Friday after beating Tranmere on the Tuesday night, having won at Milton Keynes the game before, and our boys could have easily switched off against Leyton Orient. I hardly said a word prior to that. In the 2 or 3 days before that game, I hardly said anything because it was Leyton Orient. I knew I didn't have to say anything. Our boys, mentally and physically, were ready to face Orient because they knew it was a big game, And sometimes maybe I haven't spent enough time psychologically with them, getting their heads right for when we played against teams that really we should beat. Crewe, for example, here at home. I don't think mentally I prepared them as well as I should have done in that game. I can't always play the game for them once they get out there on the pitch, but at the same time maybe I should have spent a bit more time motivating them, psychologically getting inside their heads, and making sure that there was no slip-ups. And of course that's what Brentford have done this season, that's what Wolves have done this season. Not only have they played well against the top sides, they've played very well against the lesser sides and made sure that they beat them. And that's a sign of a good team. Regardless of who you play, you have to be always the same. You always have to play exactly the same. You cannot take your foot off against anybody in this division, or in any division for that matter. So that's been a big learning curve, I think, for me, working in League One this season, that mentally players need to be right in games that they know that they should win. It's like the old adage, you remember years gone by, giant killers. That's why giant killers are successful, because they play against some of the big teams, and the big teams take it too lightly. They probably don't go into the game in the same manner of which they should do, and that's really been a weakness in our side this season, and it's something that I need to make sure I eradicate next season.
A couple of players missing on Saturday, Andy Drury, Jeffrey Wanakano. What are their chances of being involved tomorrow?
Yeah, they're both back. Andy was not quite right. I think there's a bit of burnout with him, I mean, he's played an incredible amount of games since February the 22nd. We're now played 19. Tuesday night represents our 9th game in April, which is totally ridiculous, as you can imagine. And there's a bit of burnout with him. Michael Jones is burnout with him. There's burnout in quite a few of them that have gone out there, played almost every match for me since I've been here. And in Andy's case, he had a slight strain with his hamstring, but it was only a grade 1, which is not too much of a problem, and he'll be back to face Carlisle, so he should start on Tuesday night. And Jeffrey just had a bit of sickness, I think, over the weekend, so he's had the weekend off. He's all fired up, ready to go, so we're all in pretty good shape.